Larry, let's keep it moving here. Because I was thinking about this. Red, you did the show. The last time we did a full blown show, it was 4 years ago, basically, and you've been on more recently. But you guys were both at the COVID Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I would love to talk about that. It's an interesting situation. Maybe we could talk about the eardrum situation, Sean, or is that too early?
Yeah, we could talk about the eardrum situation. We were in China for what?
Let's get some build up though. Like that whole Olympics was. It's a bummer of Olympics a little bit. It's obviously awesome to make an Olympic team. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to the 2018 Olympics, and it was a great experience. And then going back to Beijing, you really wanted to do that, but with some experience, and it was a completely new event. Like it was really hard. It was probably the most stressful times, hopefully I'll have in life. But it's just COVID test after COVID test, worrying about who you're going to see, close contacts, this and that. Like every day, you're worrying about if you're going to get COVID or whatever. And we were doing tests every day during that 21 period. It was so funny. We brought things of Listerine with us because we read before we go. They were doing throat swabs. So we brought some Listerine, and right before we'd hit it, we'd all be like our household, me, Haley, Sean, and my brother. We'd be sitting right outside the COVID test, just passing around a thing of Listerine, gargling it, and then running in there, getting it swabbed. And sometimes the swab would come back out blue at times. You're like, there's no way I'm getting COVID now.
Yeah.
But anyways, now we can.
No, yeah, it was full lockdown. You're just with your team, which was sick. Also, there was
cool.
A part of that was cool because you are just hanging with your buddies and you're like, this is what it is, It would have been fun to do a bit more exploring and sort of, I don't know, hang out with other teams and stuff like that. But because of COVID, we were very strictly locked down, masks outside, the whole deal. I mean, you should have seen Red's hands. They looked like they were dead. He was always just running hand sanitizer.
I'm kind of like a germaphobe, I guess, when it comes down to it. Now that it's being talked about,
but anyways, we were there. We were there doing that for 20. We were there for 25 days because we did we were one of the first events with slope, and then we were closer to one of the last events with big air. So there was this massive lag time. So we were there forever, and anyways, we're finally going home.
Well, should we talk about, before we get into that, let's just talk about the slope contest. How'd it go for you, Sean?
It went good. I made it into finals, put down what I wanted to in qualies, was really excited about that run, actually. And then, unfortunately, before finals, kind of focused my ankle on a switchback 16 during practice and sort of tried to fight through that and wasn't able to put one down in finals. But, I was psyched on how that went, honestly. Just a bum to get injured, but psyched on how that went.
And then Red, we haven't talked about this, and obviously huge respect to Max Burrow, put down a heater of a run, and fucking showed up, rode really well. But I'd say in some senses the judges would be at fault for probably giving a score undeserving to a particular run, however that unfolded. And you came into the contest as a residing gold medalist, and then I would say that you got gypped out of a third place medal. But how was that experience for you putting down a run Pyeongchang?
Yeah, I was hyped. Like you said, I was definitely going into that Olympics feeling 100 million times better than I did going into 2018. That's for sure. I kind of felt like I did have it was a good Olympics because it felt like no one really had a run, or no rider had a run that was an immediate win if you won it. It was a really good contest, and I felt like I had one of those runs that was definitely going to be up there. And yeah, I was able to go there and land it. I landed it first try out of 3 runs, which is always kind of interesting with judging and all that, because then more runs end up getting landed and all this. So at the end of the day, I ended up landing the run I wanted, and I was happy with that. No disrespect to the podium, for sure. Definitely no disrespect to Max Perot too. I feel like he honestly got the shit end of that stick. He went there, did his run, had no part in the score at all, and ends up getting, I would say, quite a bit of hate for it, And that's the last thing you want to do. Whatever, he probably made some great money and, also was very happy to take home a gold. But at the end of the day, you want to win the gold and you want to have people hyped that you won it. And so that was probably a little unfortunate for him. But yeah, I mean, that's just part of, it's unfortunate with snowboarding. It's a judging sport that we end up doing. And a lot of the time, if not all the time, there's going to be a rider in that field that's going to be bummed on the judging. And that just felt like one that was pretty bad. Just, judges didn't have the right angles of the jumps. There's always some sort of excuses, but I mean, yeah, I was super bummed at the moment, because I really did feel like I had a run to be up there on that podium. And it was an interesting podium because when you look at it wholly, or like, at the whole thing, it was, it's just spotty all over the place, but you can't get too bummed because you're like, I wouldn't have done anything different, so you just take what you did and you run away with it. So
you did everything you can do. You landed your run.
Yeah.
The rest was out of your hands.
Yeah, and that's like when I was a kid, that's all I used to say, and it got me through everything. I would never be bummed on results I get, but then, you start doing better at contests, and then you start having an expectation for yourself, and then that just doesn't start to work anymore. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's like you came there, you did what you wanted to do, you landed a run, everything's out of your control after that.
Okay, so you guys do your slopestyle contest. It goes as well as it can for the boys. And where do we have any debauchery? Actually, we have a Patreon question, Silk, in regards to this.
We got a question from Andrew Cruz. Would love to hear some unheard stories of the Olympic athlete village.
Well, here you go.
Get this.
So it was kind of like one of those nights where, so we're all leaving. We were like leaving at like 3 a.m, I think, to go to the Beijing airport. Like pretty much all the slopestyle riders.
Yeah, like a good, I'd say like 70% of. I think there was one more event left, and it was like maybe even ski big air or something. So it's a good group of the U.S. team flying out that night.
Well, and it's U.S. team, but it's also like all the Austrian homies, all the Norwegians,
Everyone.
like the entire boarding community that was there doing big air and slopestyle are leaving that night, and there's these shuttles at like 3 a.m.
But and it's interesting too because this whole Olympic experience was basically like the healthiest one you could have. It was a dry campus.
Yeah.
Essentially, there was no, like
COVID
2018, we could go to the U.S. team house and all these different companies had houses and you could go have a beverage with your parents or do whatever you want. And, there's split time. But in China, it was just us. And there's dry campus except for right after slopestyle and right after big air. So
Yeah,
you can finish up here.
No, so then it's like now everyone's just kind of been pent up and want to let loose, and they're like, "This is our last night here. Let's go." And then we go to the rec room in the village, and it is like all of the teams. Like Anna Gasser's there with her Olympic medal swinging around. Like everyone's there. It's like a giant slopestyle big air party at this point. We're getting on these shuttles, and so we like go pretty hard there, and it's kind of one of those nights. I don't know if the viewers can relate, but it's one of those nights where you're like, there's a limited amount of booze here, I guess. And you're kind of trying to have a blowout where so now you're like hunting it and you're kind of
You got your stockpile.
You're getting what you can. You're like, oh, this might be it, So then you're always like seeking it out. So the next thing you know, you're like, maybe you've had a couple at this point because that's kind of the mentality.
You might have.
And it can get you that mentality. And so, anyways, we get on these buses. And I think it's probably just the U.S. team on this bus, right?
Yeah, it was just us. Really.
Just the whole U.S. team on this bus. And me and Red are sitting next to each other. And I don't really even know what we're talking about when it's going back and forth. We're just like kind of bantering, shooting the shit. And
probably talking of back 540s are cooler or something.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't even
honestly,
matter at this point.
We're trying to argue which trick is harder, what's cooler, what grab is more difficult with whatever, and how things go. How silvers end up.
80% of our conversations.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to that point in the night, it's what happens. And
fighting a fight.
And I think it got to, and I go, dude, slap me. You won't. And he's like, dude, I'm not gonna slap you. And I'm like, dude, slap me. You won't. Do it. And he's like, what? All right, dude, I'll slap you. You want to get slapped? I'll slap you. And then so he slaps me, and
full blown,
like a big boy. And it cups my left eardrum, and it just goes. And I was like on the bus. Ow! So and then we had to fly all the way from China back home. Dude, I have like
layover in Japan.
I have so many legs too because I'm not going back to San Diego with you guys. I went China to Tokyo to San Fran to Portland.
No, Tokyo to LA, San Fran,
that's what
Portland.
I did. Yeah. That's 4 legs.
Hopping around with a blown eardrum.
And I'm just like, God, just flying with this blown eardrum. And
there's a couple of notes here that Malachi wanted to bring up. Somebody getting yelled at by TSA potentially, and maybe a forgotten bag, something like that. Those are a couple of footnotes I had.
Oh, we got great videos
right.
of all this.
Yeah, I might have been overserved.
We were all overserved.
I might have been overserved. That could have happened.
Such a typical Kai ass shit right here.
This is some
brings
Kai
us
shit.
up something, chops you right at the knees. That's fucked up, brother.
No, I might have.
So you were overserved, not your fault. Not your fault.
I might have left a couple bags in the airport and then been called back from security.
Kai gets put on the duty of like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like at this point I'm like, oh man, I'm wasted for sure, and I'm just like, all right, Haley, it's me and you. Let's make it through this airport.
It's a
Kai's was
free-for-all.
shot.
It's a free for all in that airport, dude.
It's crazy. There was like, it really did feel like you were in like a ghost town of an airport. Beijing airport too.
No one there.
No one's
During
there.
COVID.
Yeah, it's like,
It is.
and of course we get there. Our flight's at like 6 a.m. We get there at like 2:33. So like none of the baggage is open at all, and then we're just like kind of sleeping on our board.
They're
bags
open
and
because
stuff.
of us, and we have like our own flight to get us to Tokyo, basically. So there's literally no one but us, and it's mayhem. I mean, one of the girls on our team left her phone on the bus. It is and was wandering around the airport, sobbing. Where's my phone? We don't know where your phone is. How can I get my phone back? I don't know.
Yeah,
no one
like,
knows. No one knows how we're gonna get your phone. It's on a bus.
Also,
it's on
everyone
a bus.
at
It's
this
heading
point-
back to Olympic Village.
Everyone
It's
at this
gone.
point is so ready to get the heck out of Beijing. Like
Yeah.
we're like 21 days here. We're all out. Your phone's gone. Like your phone is just so far from being found at this point.
Yeah.
But then we ended up like waiting there. We get our bags checked in, and
Dude, also recognize this. We each have 5 bags because they like outfit you, and they give you on top of the 2 bags that you bring, like your board bag and then your clothes bag. They give you 3 more bags full of Olympic gear. So we're talking about an insane amount of bags. All of us, 5 bags each.
they all look the same too. So you got, everyone's. It's like the worst thing. You're like running around the airport checking bag tags. Like, come on, man. Like this is too much.
5 layovers on the way
But
home.
yeah, anyways,
5
I mean,
bags.
yeah, luckily Kai was there. He helped me a lot, which was good. But yeah, there was a couple bags that wouldn't have made it without Kai, and then there was one bag that wouldn't have made it without me going back for it. Because I heard it on the loudspeaker, and they were like, anyways, it got checked. We made it. But that was a long travel day with a blown out eardrum, for sure.
I remember he like gets back to like Hood River, and maybe haven't talked in like 2 days or something. And I like call him, and he's like, I'm going to the doctor's office. I'm like, what are you going to the doctor's office for? He's like, dude, you blew my eardrum out. My eardrum is blown out. And I'm like,
I also, dude, I had another. My right one was already blown out from. Anyway, this water thing we did. It was like it was a rapid that you go really deep into the water. And I went down too quick, and it popped, and then it just refused to heal. So now I had like a blown out eardrum for about a year, my right one, and then it overlapped. So then I had for like a solid.
it was honestly.
Dude, for a solid like 3-4 months, I had 2 blown out.
Traveling
eardrums.
with this guy though before was so awesome. He'd be like going into the shower, like rooming, and we're like he'd be like going into the shower and he grabs his earplugs. I'm like, what are you grabbing earplugs for to go in the shower? My eardrum, man, is blown out. I can't get any water in there.
Yeah, couldn't get water. I was gonna get it surgery on it to get it fixed because it wasn't healing. And then I remember the surgery sounded real scary. And then and I would have to like bail on this Austria trip that I had lined up and then so I was like, it's all good. I'm just gonna wait it out. And then I waited out, and then probably about 6 months later I went and got it checked out again. And it healed up.
Magically.
Love that. Love that you blew his eardrum out, Red. That's fantastic.
I felt like a really big asshole for a while, and especially like I mean, mind this is during it's like it's not like I'm any more sober than this guy on this bus. You know, I'm probably more drunk. You know, I'm slapping my homie. So, yeah, I felt bad.
That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing at that. That's just like
it felt good.
That's the key.
I tell you what, like for me, Sean doesn't seem to get too phased by this whole COVID scenario. But for me, when we did that last COVID test, it was like, oh yeah, okay. Not like let's start licking poles or whatever, but you're like, like I can go talk to people now or whatever.
Going up the escalator.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm COVID free.
No, I wasn't tripping about the COVID too much. I was like, dude, you can't get COVID here. It was insane. I mean,
it did feel like at a certain point.
Like when you're doing, what's that weed thing? Roundup.
Oh yeah, Roundup.
With the thing on your back and then
it's
literally
nasty.
Everywhere you went in that village,
they're just spraying sanitizer.
It was wet.
Yeah.
Wet with sanitizer.
Probably definitely 10 times worse for us than actually getting COVID. That you're just spraying it in your face.
They always had those little caution things up, wet floor, because there's so much sanitizer. And just they had people going around in like full suits, like Fallout suits, like going.
I've got a video of because we went down to there's two Olympic villages. There's the mountain one, and then there's the city one. And the big air one was in the city of Beijing. And I don't think it snowed down there the whole Olympics. And it finally snowed down there, and all like the workers of the Olympic Village are in hazmat suits. And Sean, we're like sitting in our hotel room, and Sean, it's like snowing. It's finally getting like, there's buildup on the ground, and Sean like sees all these hazmat guys out there like throwing snowballs, and he goes down there in all of his Olympic gear, starts building up snowballs, and he's just whipping them at people. And I've got the video on my phone. I'm just like filming outside the room, and he's like, these guys are loving it, dude.
They're so
having
stoked.
a snowball fight with some USA.
Those guys were the sickest,
Olympian.
honestly.
Yeah,
and they like came up, and one guy came up, and he was like so fired up on the U.S. team, and like we gave him a bunch of like U.S. team gear, and he was just like, yeah, it was cool. Those guys were really cool.
Yeah, backbone of the Olympics, really.
Straight up, yeah.
Seems like a memorable experience.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
For sure.
We had a good time.
It was cool.
I like that.